Go ahead and get started. It is Tuesday, May 27th, 2025 at 6 p.m. in the Susan Tully Lively Boardroom of the 1887 building. And I'd like to start the evening by saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, call the meeting to order. Mr. Tadlock, would you take roll call, please?
Mr. Andre is excused. Eric Gordon.
Here.
Mrs. Ingersoll.
Here.
Mrs. Costock.
Here.
Mrs. Reckles.
Here.
Mr. Scarrow is excused. Mrs. Vaughn.
Here.
Ms. Corpus.
Here.
And Mr. Jaime Sarabia is excused and wish him well at the track meet tonight.
Okay, we do have a quorum, so we'll proceed, and this meeting has been noticed per state statutes. I did not receive any community participation requests, so we'll move on to our next item on the agenda, which is overnight travel requests from the FCCLA.
Hello, I am Jenny Waymeyer. I'm the advisor for the Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America. And with me, I have two students this evening, and our request is for two items. The first one you can see up on the screen is for the National Leadership Conference that is being held in Orlando, Florida, July 5th through the 9th. Florida in July, gotta love it. This is our national organization's summer, both competitive event and leadership development opportunity. We have attended, of course, in the past. Most recently, we went to Seattle last summer and competed. And for this, we have 4 students that will be attending with us. Greenlee is going to talk a little bit about the program that she is going to be attending with. Jonah's going to talk a little bit about his competition, and Hayden is going to talk about her event as well. It's okay. It's really bad.
I know.
We didn't expect the big
No worries. We get
it. So if it's okay with you, Greenlee, do you want to just talk a little bit about the program that you applied for?
Sure. So I applied for a scholarship to be able to attend the National Leadership Conference. So I had to write a couple of essays about like what it would mean to me, and and then I applied with everyone in the nation, and I got chosen.
That's great.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
So they choose up to 20 applicants from all across the United States.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
this is the first time that Wisconsin had a successful applicant.
Wow.
And
Congratulations.
obviously first time for Elkhorn, so
That's
we're
great.
really
You must
proud
have
of
really good writing skills.
and great involvement in FCCLA.
Yes.
She's been involved since before her freshman year, like the summer before her freshman year.
Wow.
So we're very excited, and Greenlee was just elected as president of FCCLA for next year.
Congratulations.
So that's exciting too. Aiden, do you want to talk a little bit about your event?
Yeah, so I'm going for baking and pastry arts, which entails me making lemon poppy seed muffins, sugar cookies, cake decorating, and this fancy little French dessert. I haven't quite figured out the pronunciation. Everybody kind of says it a little differently, but it's like a cream puff ring is basically what it is. But I go in, I have 3.5 hours to do it. I have to do it up to the standards that they want me to, sanitation, look the part, act the part, go in there and make beautiful things, and hopefully they like it. Yeah.
Awesome. Great.
So I'll be competing in a culinary math challenge, which is an event I competed in last year, which at nationals, which involves me going in and taking a 50 question test in 30 minutes. It's very heavily involved with like percent yields and Celsius to Fahrenheit and a bunch of
Oh, my goodness.
pretty intense questions. And then yeah, so hopefully I'll take first again.
You got first last year?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
And then our fourth member, Sadie, she wasn't able to be here tonight. She learned that she's a top 20 qualifier in the national event, which is a website design. And so she We did not have a website before Sadie took it over, and she's done just a magnificent job, and to be again in the top 20, she's the only one in Wisconsin in all the national online events to even get this far, so we're very
Wow.
excited for her as well. So I know Mr. Tadlock has some information pulled up just about the financial piece of it. Registration and the star competitor fee will both be paid for by Perkins funds through career and technical education. The students were responsible for paying for their airfare and a portion of their meals. And then our FCCLA fundraising and our stipend will be paying for ground transportation, and then hotel will be paid for by Perkins. The students will approximately pay, we decide like $700-ish for their participation. And then the students also worked the Booster Club, a couple of different events to earn some funds as well. So we're asking you for your permission for that piece. Do we handle them separately or together? The second one.
No, it's the whole, you just need approval for the overnight travel. fund.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then the second page is, we thought we'd package them together. I know you enjoy seeing us, but probably not this often.
Yeah, they can approve both of you.
Okay, all right, so the second one is the Fall Leadership Institute. This one is held in Anaheim in October, so there's a better location indeed. It's held at the end of October, and the students would have an opportunity to do the Disney Leadership Package, which they spend one day doing what's called Leadership the Disney Way, which is just very intense leadership activities. And then the second one, would you mind going back?
Yeah.
Thank you, is the teamwork aspect of it. So last year, unfortunately, I was injured, and so I wasn't able to take as many students as I would have liked to have. And so this fall, we'd like to have specifically our leadership attend this session and gain some certainly unique skills by attending. Registration is a little bit higher. The students will be, of course, responsible for paying for that, as well as their airfare and meals. And then FCCLA would be responsible for transportation and hotel. We don't anticipate using any Perkins funds because this one isn't directly related to a competitive piece of it. So we anticipate doing some fundraising as well, primarily the Booster Club. We will be back to catering the Hall of Fame after, again, taking a year off because of my injury, so. Sure. Do you have any questions?
Of you or any of you going on this second trip to Anaheim?
No, because I will be graduating at that point.
Yeah, alright.
They don't know yet.
I don't know. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we wanted to get approved before we made our selections, so
Ah,
I'm gonna put the cart before the horse.
So for the Orlando trip, is the four of you and you're accompanying, any other adults accompanying, or?
At this point, no.
Okay,
In the past, sometimes we piggybacked with another smaller chapter, so either Westosha or Badger, we're staying in the same hotel, so we're thinking about piggybacking.
sure,
But if you would prefer that someone from the district go, I can certainly work on that.
yeah. I'm just trying to remember, didn't we talk about that?
Yeah, if you're piggybacking, that works because we always want to be too deep in
Right.
case there's an accident or
Right.
something
Right.
happens.
Right.
Because it could happen to a student or even then the advisor needs to go, so
Right,
as long as they have that plan that you're too deep on that coverage and that emergency prep plan.
I think it was last year, maybe it was 2 years ago, that I was their second person, but I had another adult, so
Yeah.
as long as that's okay, then we would have them be the
yeah,
backup.
as long as you have somebody else that,
Version, yeah.
Yeah.
Second version.
okay,
Perfect.
and that would go the same for,
The second, I do
Okay.
have another person who will
Okay.
most likely attend.
awesome.
Yeah.
How many do you anticipate going on a second?
I would say no more than 6.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Great,
I think the piggybacking works well because that can keep your overall. costs down.
Yeah.
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 Travel's not cheap
No,
anymore.
it's not.
And I'm sorry, was it Aiden? What was?
Yeah.
Your name again? Was-
Yeah, it's Aiden, yeah.
All right, did I see you star in a little video clip or did you do a?
I did.
a patient by
Yeah,
chance?
I thought the same thing.
I almost did recognize you.
The
but
law
I
review.
didn't see it. No, that was very neat to see, so.
Watched it.
Wonderful.
All right, so looking for a motion to approve.
I move to approve the overnight travel request from FCCLA as presented.
There's a second.
I'll second.
So moved and seconded to approve the overnight travel request from FCCLA. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you. Have fun.
Thank you.
Bring us
Good
back
luck.
some, yeah, bring us back some good stuff.
I didn't bring snacks again.
And we always, we're always open to taste testing.
Yeah, here in the, that's why you're gonna do that. Next time.
Okay. Next is approving the regular and closed session school board meeting minutes of May 12th. And then also the closed session of May 21st. Are there any questions or comments on any of those?
How do I vote? Because I was in attendance for one and not the other.
On which day, on the 12th?
Yeah,
We do two.
Okay, so we'll do
motions,
two separate motions.
okay, yeah.
Then.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll do a motion, make sure the first one is just for the regular session, and then we'll do a separate one for the closed on the 12th.
I move to approve the minutes of the May 12, 2025 regular session as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the May 12th, 2025 regular session school board meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Abstain.
And then just need a motion for the closed session.
I'm
For May 12th.
for May 12th or?
Yeah, for May 12th.
Closed session.
Closed session, May
You
12th.
you made the motion for the regular and closed session.
No, he didn't.
No, we didn't.
He just did the regular.
Oh, okay.
Now I move the closed session on May 12th.
Okay.
As presented.
Looking for a second.
I'll second.
So moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the May 12th, 2025 closed session school board meeting. All in favor, say aye.
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 Abstain.
Opposed? Okay, all right. And looking for a motion to approve the minutes of the May 21st.
I move to approve the minutes of the May 21st, 2025 closed session school board meeting as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the May 21st, 2025 closed session school board meeting. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? General and other fund bills. Mr. Tadlock.
Yes,
Since Mr. Truon is not here.
in your
Yeah,
packet, you'll see, I'm not gonna do the spiel of Mr.
Yeah,
Truitt. It's
there was, you
It's
should have all
information.
received the, no,
Check numbers, my eyesight can't see that either. so
oh, that's
It's up
okay,
on the screen,
that's okay.
all right.
Any questions?
May not be able to answer the question, but it's more of a comment, the chameleon. I know that this is for the youth apprenticeship videos, I know it was paid for by a grant.
Yeah,
$10,500 grant money, and we had about, should have jotted it down, and 140 views. That doesn't seem to.
Well,
be
there's
like-
some,
they just.
there's more than one
launched.
video.
Yeah.
No, that's 140 views of the total of 8 videos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Doesn't seem like a real
they
great.
haven't even launched, we just.
Oh, they were just
published it.
shared.
I just shared it internally with you, yes.
Okay,
but there's-
Okay, because I guess I'm
Right,
wondering where are those being, how are those being distributed? How are people being directed to them? How are they being used? It just doesn't seem like a great return on investment.
Well, not yet.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
because they haven't been released yet.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, I was just curious. I didn't know that they
Many
had.
different ways and formats, and as you get to, I would encourage you to share it on your social media as well. It also includes a lot of B-roll, so that second, the informational videos for parents, there's
Got
one
it.
designed for students, but yeah, none
Okay.
of that has been shared. And also, I would say even on that viewership, it only measures. You're not getting the full count because as they get shared to different platforms, then they
Right.
have different viewership and hits, because I know one that was shared via LinkedIn within 10 minutes had over 200.
Great.
impressions.
Yeah, I'm literally just looking at the counts as they're appearing on YouTube as it rolled out, and I asked the question.
Yeah, that's,
Mhm.
yeah, it's a good question. They've just been shared internally. When I say internally, we haven't even pushed it out to the district for families yet.
Nice. Any other questions?
I would encourage you to go and look. I think they're very well
Oh, yeah.
done though, and
I
really
watched them all.
paint a great picture of the different business partnerships and so forth that are going on.
Mhm.
Yeah, looking for a motion to approve.
I move to approve the general and other fund bills of May 27, 2025. Check numbers 155168 to 155117, wire numbers 259, wire number 259, and ACH numbers 848 to 879, and a combined amount of $285,959.60 as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the general and other fund bills of May 27th, 2025. Check numbers 155168 to 155297, wire number 259, and ACH numbers 848 to 879, in the combined amount of $385,959.60. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Next is, we have two new course proposals, for Spanish 5 and medical Spanish. And Miss Bosch is,
Mrs. Bosch is unavailable tonight, so I told her I would go ahead and present that, and then Margaret Adams is here that can answer any specific questions.
perfect, I did see you
These
sitting there,
were-
so I figured that's why.
And Kathy was at the curriculum council meeting as well, where they did the in-depth presentation. I'm not gonna go through the whole presentation that's there, but they are proposing two exciting course offerings, Spanish 5, which would be a class. What they're seeing is, I believe they had 3 sections of Spanish 4 this year.
Oh, wow,
And then typically, though, they see that drop off to where only about 14 or 15 continue onto the AP Spanish. The Spanish 5 would be a step in between that, or an option for them. They could go to Spanish 5 or go to the AP if they wanted. And they feel that would, a lot of the students in conversations with them want to continue with the Spanish, but not to that AP course and that level of time commitment, or and these AP is 100% in the target language, and there's a number of factors there. So they felt this would meet a niche based on what the student impressions were. And then the second course would be a medical Spanish class, which we have a lot of students, our HOSA programs, almost 10% of our high school FCCLA students who are looking at, that currently even work as CNAs or work in the field. This would be a class focused on the medical terminology that they would be utilizing, like in an office, in a doctor's office setting, or in their assisted living settings in that infrastructure. They do it justice on that?
Wonderful
All right.
job.
And this Spanish 5 is a full credit class, and medical Spanish would be a half credit.
okay, so does that mean it's one trimester or?
One trimester.
One trimester, okay.
Yeah.
So I have a few questions. One of which was with regard to Spanish 5 is how does a student get to Spanish 5
With,
with 4 years of,
I created a course called Accelerated Spanish.
Okay.
Years ago,
okay,
and it does Spanish 1 the first trimester of the class and Spanish 2 the second
Oh, okay.
trimester.
okay,
And so then they can get it all the way up to AP.
got it,
And they choose whether or not they're gonna take Accelerated or if they're gonna take Spanish 1.
okay,
And
okay,
with the students having Spanish, they have an exploratory Spanish in 6th grade, which all students have.
right,
But now at the middle school switching to where it's an elective, they
Yeah.
have more time in Spanish in 7th and then
Okay.
8th grade, so they're
so they're more prepared
going
to
in
to able to do the
where they can go to
accelerated,
that accelerated. yeah.
okay,
And German has the same
okay.
structure.
Okay. And yeah, I guess I was gonna ask, what's the difference between Spanish 5 and AP Spanish, but,
AP Spanish would be geared towards taking the AP test.
right,
And you're gonna be doing more difficult things, more
Okay.
picky listening activities and writing persuasive essays and doing authentic readings all the time, and it's just it's more difficult. It's like
Okay.
any AP class. Whereas Spanish 5 would be just a continuation of what we've done along the way in 2, 3, and 4.
okay,
I'd say it's a little different than for the language teachers, those AP courses are different than a typical AP course because they're actually approaching the 300 college level course for that world language. And if they, depending on how they score on the AP exam, they're awarded numerous college level courses below that course. Likewise, they can take Spanish 5, and then many of the students will still go, even if they do the AP, but they can still do Spanish 5, take the placement exam at the college they're going to. And then they'll typically place them in the course, and then they'll be awarded the credits
got it.
below that course.
And
So
quite often,
They do better with it.
they do
quite
better with the
often,
placement.
they get the same thing that you would get if you passed the AP exam.
Yeah,
Mhm. Okay, so. Are there prerequisites for the medical Spanish class?
We're putting it as Spanish 2.
Okay,
So it's gonna be kind of a more basic level course. They're only gonna get through Spanish 2 or Advanced Speakers 1, I think I put. So they are gonna start out and they're gonna have to learn the body parts and how to have a conversation at a doctor's office.
Yeah.
And to ask and get information about addresses and family history and things like
Yeah.
that.
so somebody who's wanting to take medical Spanish and knows that they're wanting to go into the medical industry is really gonna have to have the forethought as a freshman. Probably,
You could, it's a semester course, a trimester course,
that's true,
so you could take it anytime as an elective
okay,
after you take Spanish
Spanish one,
2. So
yeah.
we will have students in there, I assume, that have taken Spanish 4, taken Advanced Speaker
Got it.
2, taking
sure,
all
Okay.
these different courses. They're gonna be at different levels.
yeah. Okay, yeah, that makes sense,
But it's the first time a lot of the medical vocab will be introduced to them.
sure,
And I just say as a nurse, I wish this was in school.
Yeah.
When I took
I can
it,
see how it'd be a huge
Um,
advantage.
I've worked with interpreters my whole career. And it's wonderful. I can probably talk to you very eloquently in Spanish about your pregnancy because I've heard it a million times. But yeah, I think this would have been very useful to have.
Yeah. That's great,
I think it's a great resume builder too.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Completed a medical Spanish course, yeah.
yeah.
I see that it says the adoption year is 25, 26. Is that,
Mrs. Bosch said that maybe we could be on the advanced schedule and put it up for adoption for the, not next year, the year after.
26, 27.
like you have Spanish 5? Spanish 5 is 26, 27. So you'll postpone it a year?
Well,
No.
that's the typical, like, they've already completed registration for this year, so.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I wonder,
That's
was there a typo on here?
question if it could be offered the next school year.
Oh, yeah, they've already done the registration for this year. Are you saying the medical Spanish?
The medical Spanish says adoption year 25, 26.
Oh, did I miss? I'm sorry, I made a
Right.
mistake.
No, it's okay, because the.
I think
Spanish-
you were advocating for it to be 25, 26.
Yeah, he was.
The Spanish 5 is 26, 27.
Do you think I don't know, is the schedule already built where do you guys even have room in the schedule if they were to fit it in at 25, 26?
Well, the kids did not sign up for it. I mean,
I can circle back with Mrs.
Well-
Bosch, and we can look and see if, I don't know if it's try 3 places, yeah, I don't know. If there'd be enough interest where kids would change their schedules to do that, otherwise it probably should be listed as 26, 27.
So you're looking for both of them to be 26, 27.
yes,
Correct.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
So it's a good catch.
that was a good catch.
Ready for a motion?
Yes, just make sure it's modified.
Okay. I move to approve the EAHS new Spanish course proposals as modified.
I second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the EAHS new proposals as modified. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Thank you, Margaret.
Great, thank you. Thanks for being here.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. Yeah, we're moving on to the revised options virtual charter school contract. We looked at this a few weeks ago. But apparently when we sent it into DPI, they came back and said, you can't do that. On one of the points there, which.
Number
Mr.
3.
Chadwick.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So because we accept charter school grant funds, they have stipulations from the federal level to be eligible. And one is that when you're going to the spaces available, if we get to a point where there's a cap or like we can't accept everybody, then you cannot give preferential treatment to resident students. It has to be a lottery open to everybody that would apply, whether they're resident or not. Students there, so that's the only change to the contract.
So we need to approve it again.
Are we amending or are we?
Well, the motion
approving the
indicates that it's
amendment.
revised.
Revised, yeah.
The motion indicates that it's been revised.
Okay. Well, then I move to approve the revised options virtual charter school contract as presented.
I'll second.
So moved and seconded to approve the revised options virtual charter school contract. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Next is our student representative report, and probably your final one, right?
I think so, yeah. Okay, so this Wednesday is honors night at 7 p.m, so tomorrow. And then today was also activity day at the high school, which is something that Hope Squad puts on for May Mental Health Month. And so there's just like an hour block within the day and people can choose to go to different sessions for mental health. So sometimes there's coloring, other times there's like a physical activity, just different things to kind of like get your mind active. And then on the top, there's a picture of track, which boys just won conference, and then track is competing right now at regionals.
Nice.
And then there's also graduation, which is this Saturday at 6. And then on the right, I have some pictures from the Great Give Back, where students completed community service projects at 11 different nonprofit organizations in the city. And that was on May 17th.
The boys lacrosse team, I believe, also won their first conference championship, second year of lacrosse being on
Nice.
support.
And then over at the middle school, the two pictures on the left are of the agricultural class, which was learning about how to make butter and cheese. And then 6th graders also learned about certain futures, budgeting, and then what it takes to run a business. And then they just kind of like did role playing and different things like that. And so that was at the top right. And then at the bottom, I just have a picture of the like farewell to the 8th graders like dance night thing.
Oh,
And then over at Jackson's, Miss Ross class got to enjoy some sunshine and ice cream on the 23rd. And then the Jackson 3rd graders did a great job at their patriotic tribute program. Tibbetts wants to say thank you to Deputy Adams for bringing class to school and teaching kindergarten about their cool jobs as a canine officer.
And then the Lauderdale LaGrange Fire and Rescue also got to visit with the third graders and the fourth and fifth grade students on the 20th. So over at West Side, there was a fun morning at the fifth grade band and fourth and fifth grade choir concert, and then that's just some pictures in the middle there. And then after the concert, the fourth graders learned about joining band and all about the different instruments. And then the fourth graders got to go on a walking field trip to the one room schoolhouse, Veterans Museum, and the Webster House Museum in Elkhorn. And then the student council had a road cleanup from the past weekend, and they just said, great job, Wildcats, on keeping the community. Over at CCA, the Elkhorn Youth Build students recently participated in mock interviews with local businesses to sharpen their job readiness skills, and they crushed it. And then the Youth Build team also worked together to build an outdoor classroom pavilion, so there's some pictures from that. And then the CCA and Edge students participated in the Brewers Math Day, so they got to go to that baseball game. Over at Options, each student invented a special grown-up guest and dressed in their finest spring outfits for the occasion. And then in a true host and hostess fashion, the students served tea, juice, and delicious baked treats. And that was for like the 4K and 5K Academy students. And then congratulations to the students who successfully completed a youth apprenticeship or Gateway Technical College Academy program. And then the 7th grade Academy students teamed up with 1st grade Academy students to work on the 1st graders' reading skills. And then they also raised $443.50 towards a Gaga pit, and then that was from the student council and talent show. And then for parent connections, I just have a picture of Miss Esther's summer schedule, and then some other pictures of her last story time.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Then we have a little token of appreciation for the students. Yes, and
Thank you.
usually we do a picture with the board for your send off there.
Okay.
All right.
So we get everyone together and
If you can stand next
when you head to Florida, maybe you can just go down with FCCLA and help chaperone us.
There you go.
Wonderful.
I don't remember how old I was the last time I got to stay.
It is a lifelong mission for me.
Okay, moving on to our first reading of the 2025-2026 student parent.
Hey, in your, it's that time of year, and again, this is just the first reading. I know we have a number of board members,
Yeah,
but I think we should keep it on as a first reading, but then maybe spend more time at the second reading
Yeah.
at the next meeting.
Oh.
If there's any questions, I'll give everybody a chance to review.
Yeah.
So typical each year, the process is Jody puts out to the principals, they suggest or make recommendations on language change and or updates. And then that gets compiled into the handbooks and the recommended changes proposed in blue. And sometimes it is related to the policy changes if we have any as well. The handbooks are also considered a part of board policy. That's why we do 2 readings on those. So I don't know if there's any.
yeah, if there's anything that anybody has tonight that you'd like to bring up.
Of course. I had time to read over the weekend. There were several references to Skyward. I know that has a sunset on it.
Yes, but
but
not
is
for
it-
next year.
I was gonna say, is it
Yeah.
applicable? Okay, that was, so there was kind of
Good
general
question.
across the board.
So we're gonna be reviewing and looking at Skyward's transitioning to their student information system, which is what the families also access for the students. And so we're going to have a mandatory update and change. The new platform will look totally different. So with that in mind, what was presented to the curriculum council was to look at other student information systems as well during this next school year to determine whether we want to continue with Skyward the following the subsequent year. But for 25-26, Skyward will still be the student information system.
There was a section on school hours. I think it's under section 1. Does that need to, does
Yeah,
any of
does
that need to
reflect the new
change
minutes?
based on the minutes? Yeah.
It will need to be updated, but we have not finalized this schedule yet.
Okay.
So we will need to put a pin in that one, and this will need to be updated. As we know that we're going to need for the instructional with the reduction in the calendar, we will need to add some minutes to the high school
Mhm.
schedule.
But middle school stay the same.
Middle school, I believe, had the enough minutes. You'll see that what had happened is a couple of years ago, we were having a challenge with the busing.
Mhm.
And I think we took the high school, they shifted the start time, but I can't recall exactly what happened, but you'll see that like the high school schedule's 5 minutes less than the middle school schedule.
So
And,
adding
yeah.
time to the high school won't affect the busing at the middle school?
No, we'll have to shift all the time.
Oh, okay.
To accommodate that change. As far as the length of time, though, the middle school should be pretty close to spot on. The high school need to lengthen the minutes to get the required number of minutes in the schedule. So I will make sure that we have that pinned on for the second reading.
Children can enter kindergarten at age 5. But it's compulsory that they have to by age 6.
Right, that's a state statute.
Okay, so that's the compulsory student attendance, kind of covers that question.
Yeah, 4K is still optional. And kindergarten used to be, they just changed that recently.
Section 7 talked about cyberbullying and gave a reference to Twitter. Does that need to change? Because it's no X.
Yep, or get even more agnostic on the.
Right, or, yeah,
the type
exactly,
altogether.
and just take them all out,
Yeah.
that's exactly the thought that I had. And just make it generic. Because there are other ways, other cyberbullying sites, ways you can do cyberbullying via
Yes.
sites, so.
Are there any other questions? If not, we'll move on and feel free to reach out to,
And if you see anything, just reach out to
Yep.
myself, Ben or Jody, and we'll. Make adjustments prior to the second reading.
yeah. Okay, next is the first reading of the new policy, 3rd grade promotion and retention at risk for at-risk students.
This is based off of a recommended policy from Neola. We're going through that process, but by state statute, we need to have this policy in place. I believe by July 1, that's why we're going ahead and moving this one forward in that review process. And it is based off the model from the state and what they're recommending. We did tweak the Neola policy that went through the policy committee, and we felt like maybe some of those changes that you'll see in blue, that's why it's not a current policy, but those are changes to what the
The
Neola
Neola policy is.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, Ms. G felt that they needed to be expanded with a little bit more detail and clarification than what Neola was offering. And as far as I remember, this wording comes straight from the state, right?
Yeah, yes, the state, right from the state.
Yeah, so this
Yeah.
wording comes right from the state, because the deal with Neola is if we change more than, what is it, 5% or 10%
10%,
of
then,
the policy, then they don't cover it, but
Right. So this
even
one
though we
is-
are, it's just the wording, the new wording that we're proposing is
Yeah.
specific to what the state is asking for.
Yeah, that we were
So
more
it
in
was
line.
still in compliance.
Right, that
Yeah.
we were more in line and we're not, yeah, we're
Yes.
not putting up against that edge.
Yeah.
No, that makes total sense.
So you're saying everything in blue is from the state. Okay,
It's from the bill.
Yeah, from the, yeah,
Act 20.
yes, yeah.
Mhm.
So. So, and this is, again, this is a first reading. So, we don't need to take action on it. Sorry, I lost my place.
Personal.
Personnel.
12.
Oh, yeah.
recommendations.
Recommendations for personnel, yeah.
This time of year, we have quite a few changes in the personnel. We want to thank Kathy Picknell and Rhonda Crum for their years of service to the school district. They both, Kathy, 31 years in Elkhorn Area School District, and Rhonda, 28. We also want to thank Lindsay Vanderveen, Courtney Taylor, Sadie Anderson, Dana Ott, and Benjamin Steck, and Natasha Peterson, and Andrew Nicholson for their service to the school district, and we want to wish them well in their new endeavors. Then we have a number of appointments to coaching positions listed.
Looking for a motion to approve the personnel recommendation sheet.
I move to approve the personnel recommendation sheet of May 27, 2025, including new employment contracts conditioned upon passing the background check and district mandated drug screening as presented.
Second.
So moved and seconded to approve the personnel recommendation sheet for May 27, 2025, including new employment contracts conditioned upon passing the background check and district mandated drug screening. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Looks like we have a number of school gifts to be.
Yes,
Accepted
there's
tonight?
5 school gifts that we have been presented with. The Sierra Exteriors has donated $200 to purchase pizza for the 5th grade students. To-
Fifth grade students, do we know which school or just in general?
Not that I have. To all 5th grade students, it's dollar pizza. I don't know. Apologies.
That's all right.
The Tibbetts Elementary PTA has donated $8,584.25 to the art department. The Circle of Friends has donated $300 to the Empowerment Fund for families in need. The American Legion Auxiliary has donated $400 for snack and a pack. And Thielen Total Constructions donated $500 to Tibbetts Elementary to be used at the discretion of Mr. Foss.
Wow, wonderful. Thank you to each of those organizations. Pretty great. The Tibbetts Elementary PTA does an amazing job of fundraising, I have to say. Looking for a motion to accept.
I move to accept the generous school gifts as presented.
Second,
So moved and seconded to accept the generous school gifts. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And next is the joint coalition letter seeking Title VI guidance. So, a while back, probably a month or two ago, we received a notice from Will, which is the Wisconsin Institute of Law and Liberty, asking, because at the state level and the changes that were being made at the federal level with regard to Title VI, they were from the state level, apparently Superintendent Underly was not recognizing the guidance that was being requested from the federal level. So we sent out, Mr. Tyler, you can kind of explain, we filled out that paperwork and sent it into
I did, yeah.
Yeah,
So the state's position is that in each year, typically the Department of Education never interacts directly with school districts. They
Right.
always go through the state because
Right.
education is a state level constitution
right,
right. It's not a federal constitutional right. So they send the money to the states, they send the communications to the states, and then the states work with the school districts to meet the federal guidance and guidelines. They wanted an affirmation that we were in compliance with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. The state, basically, their position is the school's already certified with us, therefore, yeah, they're in compliance. There's some question as to, does that satisfy the requirement or not? And it's not just Wisconsin. Wisconsin followed the lead of like Utah, some other conservative states, 5 or 6 other states that said, hey, we're certifying that the schools are in compliance. Unless you give us further guidance otherwise, that's good enough, and that's how we're directing our schools. There were some groups or organizations that pushed out, oh, schools, you better submit your compliance, you could be in violation of it. Needless or make a long story short, there's been lack of direction as to whether they're in compliance or not. You can see from Will's letter of request, they put the blame squarely on BPI because of their stance. BPI says, well, we haven't received further guidance from the Department of Ed, and that needs to be clarified. So I think at the end of the day, I did sign on the assurances that we're in compliance with Title VI. I don't care whether it's DPI or the feds, we already submitted ours. That being said, regardless of anyone's stance on it, I think that a letter of support saying, hey, Department of Education,
yeah.
provide clarification
So,
on
yeah,
this.
basically
makes
what
sense.
this
Yes.
letter is asking is us as a board to sign on to a letter that is going to DPI saying, hey, DPI, you need to provide clarification on this. And Will is the one who's kind of, the Wisconsin Institute of Law and Liberty is asking school districts to join in this letter. And it apparently needs board approval.
The
To
letter
sign,
is to the USDOE, not to DPI.
Correct.
correct?
oh, yes,
Yeah.
sorry,
It's to the Department
Yes.
of Education.
Department of Education, yes.
That's why
Asking
I
them-
would, yes.
Asking them for further guidance.
DOE
because-
needs to give for the
Yes,
clarification.
because
guidance
they're
to
not.
DPI.
Correct. Sorry,
That's-
That's why I would support the board doing that too, because it has created a lot of consternation in the state, or I mean,
There's
wild
just-
theories from
Right,
some legal, like, oh, if you sign off on this and they find something, you could be held liable, superintendents or anyone, and be sued. And so I think it's making a much bigger deal than it needs to be, but at the same time, I think it's a reasonable request that, hey, Department of Education provide clarification.
yes, yeah, so that's basically what the letter is asking us to join in. So that needs board approval to, because it would be coming from us as a board, right? We would be.
If you want to sign on as a school board,
School board, yeah,
Sign up, yeah, as part of the.
yeah. So. And it's true, the DOE needs to give further clarification, so that states understand how this applies to us. That's kind of the background.
so I put in the sample motion that would allow us to sign on as hey, as a school board, we're signing on the Department of Education, please provide clarification on the certification process, which would fall in line with what DPI has actually asked as well.
Mhm.
So DPI has already submitted a similar request saying, hey, we need more direction.
Yes, and a number of other states have done the same thing.
But I don't know if there's anyone left at Department of Education. No.
Yeah, I was gonna say, who's this being directed to and how are they supposed to act? if they act?
Well, there is at least one
I mean,
person.
Secretary McMahon. has
Yes,
provided
That's,
direction on
there's
it.
at least one person.
I mean, they can't just flash it off.
Well, they just had a court case where they have blocked the destruction of the Department of Education because that has to go through Congress
Yes,
before.
that
So-
is, yes,
So at this point in time, there is a Department of Education.
yes.
I've been there, I went there as part of the Future Ready Schools Initiative. I believe my first year here in Elkhorn, what shocked me was how small the National Department of Education is. Our DPI building for the state was larger than the National Department of Education.
But kind of as it should be,
I'm not saying it didn't, I
Yeah.
was just surprised.
yeah,
It's, I mean, you kind of envision this, oh, it's.
Yeah.
But it's a very, yeah.
Mhm.
It's not really that large of a.
I assume the Wisconsin Institute of Law and Liberties is requesting this from every school
Yes.
district.
They put it
yes,
out there.
they sent it out to
Okay.
everybody.
Looking for a motion.
Yes,
I move to approve joining the Wisconsin Institute of Law and Liberties Coalition seeking Title VI guidance as presented.
second. It's been moved and seconded to approve, joining the Wisconsin Institute of Law and Liberties Coalition seeking Title VI guidance. I'm gonna say, roll call vote, please.
Mayor Gordon,
Yes.
Mrs. Ingersoll,
Yes.
Mrs. Costock,
Yes.
Mrs. Reckles,
Yes.
Mrs. Vaughn,
Yes.
Mrs. Corpus.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Thanks, everybody. This is the second reading of the new policy, Community Services Fund. We looked at it for the first time at last week's, budget meeting. Were you at the budget meeting? Oh, yes,
I was at the budget meeting, I was not at, school board meeting.
school board meeting, okay. So we considered, because that was an official school board meeting, we considered that the first reading, that's when it was presented to us.
Right.
This will be the second reading, so we can approve that tonight. Or not, depending. on what
I did
we
not
decide.
receive any further questions or.
Yeah. So looking for a motion to approve,
I move to approve the new policy, community service, fund 80 as presented.
is there a second?
Second.
So moved and seconded to approve the new policy, Community Services Fund, Fund 80. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay. Motion approved. Which all of our policies were that easy. Revised support staff employee handbook. I think this is basically just addressing the pay schedule, correct?
Correct, yeah. This is, the pay schedules get placed in the handbook, so we also have to update the handbook. The
Yeah.
board had already approved the.
Which,
wages.
yeah, we've already approved the wages, but now we just have to approve the handbook changes, and that's it, that's being changed. Is just the rates that we already approved. So, looking for a motion to approve that.
I move to approve the 2025-26 salary / wage adjustments for supervisors, administrators.
Yeah,
Wrong
you're,
one.
it's the wrong one, it's
Oh, sorry.
letter E.
Much easier. I move to approve the revised support staff employee handbook as presented.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the revised support staff employee handbook. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay. And then we do need to approve the salary wage adjustments for supervisors, administrators, central office support staff. We discussed that last week at our budget meeting in the closed session. So hopefully there's not any questions about that, but just looking for a motion to approve.
I move to approve the 2025-2026 salary wage adjustments for supervisors, administrators, and central office support staff as presented.
Wait a second.
Second,
So moved and seconded to approve the 2025-2026 salary and wage adjustments for supervisors, administrators, and central office support staff. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. And do you have any announcements, Mr.?
I
Bill?
just, busy week this week with graduations, the honors night, tomorrow night is the scholarship of the honors night. We also have the CCA graduation at 10. The options graduation at 5.
Mhm.
And then on Saturday, we have the high school graduation outside.
Yep.
It's at 6, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Fun. And
Yeah, it's
again, it looks
really-
like we should have a beautiful weather day.
Yeah, I know. I looked at, and I'm like, wow, fantastic.
well, then you might wanna take your coat to graduation.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the last.
We're in the
last year with that
shade.
wind,
Yes, the
Oh.
wind.
It was cold.
It was cold.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Has everyone who wants to attend let Mrs. Usman know?
Are we, I don't, there was a question about being in gowns. Are
No,
we-
that's only for the teachers.
Thank you. It was just
No.
oddly worded and I asked the question and I never really got it.
I think they send it out to
It
everyone.
goes to everybody,
Oh.
right, exactly, and,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you don't have to worry about it.
good, thank you, 'cause I didn't remember.
If you want to, we can start a new tradition.
I had one.
I do too.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Well, if you would
I'm just
like,
not sure I
we
could
certainly
find it.
start a new tradition.
Yeah.
That's not
I
my
might
saying.
say, we can wear our coats underneath and.
Are we gathering ahead of time or just be there?
So,
Typically, if you arrive at least 5:45.
Yeah. it's
Student
Yeah.
seats are out on the
Last
field.
year.
When
Yeah.
is rehearsal for?
yeah, when is the rehearsal?
It's Friday.
Are you, do you have somebody?
I've been requested to hand out the child that I delivered.
Okay. Okay, so,
The rehearsal is Friday morning. At 8 to 11, typically, you don't need to be there at
Oh.
8, it takes 9 o'clock, and if you can't be there and you've done those before, that's.
I
all
was
right.
just
They'll
gonna
have it
say,
marked on
I've
the
been
field.
to so many of them,
Yeah. You don't need to, I will not be able to be at the rehearsal, I have, there's also a Craftsman with character graduation ceremony. 9 o'clock that the board's invited to,
I can't go.
if you're available, at the chamber office.
I double book
But, yeah.
myself. Myself as like in my business, I double book myself for Friday morning and I completely, you know what, I honestly, I thought that because it was on a Saturday, that they were gonna do
Oh.
rehearsal on Saturday
On
morning.
Saturday morning, yeah. But no, that's okay, you know what to do and there's,
I-
and even if you can't, if you're
Yeah.
helping with the handing out of the diplomas. It's really simple, there's markings and we'll walk you through it.
Right, no, I've done it many times, but I can be at the graduation, I just can't be at the rehearsal.
Yeah.
So, I apologize.
The senior stroll is from noon to 2, if you would like to see that, they usually downtown.
That's
Do they give you a
On
time,
Friday.
Isabel, about 1:30 to
That's
get to downtown?
Friday.
I think so.
That's on Friday, yeah.
Yeah. About.
Mhm.
Are you guys having a picnic after rehearsal and then strolling? Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. And then, I don't know if you heard, I will be at both CCA and options graduations tomorrow,
All right.
just,
I'm tentative on CCA, but I'll be at options.
Save some seats.
And I unfortunately cannot be able.
And if you can't make it, that's okay, I like to have a space next to me.
Spread out, bring your briefcase and
That's what-
bring your briefcase and your umbrella.
all right, just looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Can you do it that easily? Sorry, I lost my notes.
Actually, they didn't give us, she didn't give us.
You can do it that
just say-
easily.
You can literally do it that easily, that's fine.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
Roll call vote, please.
Let's see. Eric Gordon, yes. Mrs. Ingersoll,
Yes.
Mrs. Costa,
Yes.
Mrs. Reckles,
Yes.
Mrs. Vaughn,
Yes.
Ms. Corpus.
Yes.
All right, thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.